Hello, everyone. This is, of course, Seth Moore coming again to you here on Anchor by Spotify. I am coming on today because obviously I'm doing a podcast, but I kind of wanted to briefly go over something, discuss something real brief that I just came upon. And by now, many of you probably have already heard of this. There are just so many things going on in the world. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything. But as things flash by you every day, and you're getting things in the news and other mediums that give out information, such as of course, everyone now is social media buff, or people who are getting their information from social media. But I wanted to just really briefly talk about something today that is kind of nothing new, unfortunately. But it's just crazy. It's heart-wrenching, and it's just the devil's going to be the devil. You know what I mean? And some people just cannot help themselves of their devilish acts. Now, what we're talking about, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that this young man named Derek, whose property was just seized from him. It kind of sounds familiar, right? Because I think we were talking about the Pinkertons in Georgia not long ago, who were being harassed on their farm, and how that we've had the palm-colored people who were trying to seize their property. And up until this date, I haven't seen the outcome. I haven't really been keeping up with that. I did a little bit before, but I don't know what the verdict is on that. But because I'm just coming upon this new situation here with this Derek guy who was in Morgantown, and how they seized this property, and he's been, well, they actually have, well, they kind of have. He's been to court, and he has the deed and so forth and so on. And the judge in the court ruled against him with the people who are actually staying at the farm, who don't look like him. He has all the paperwork proving he's the rightful owner of this farm and business, and it's kind of like a ministry, I believe it is. And he has animals there, and so far from what I understand is that they've been selling his animals. He has like zebras, llamas, some other things, and he did this out of the goodness of his heart. From what I was listening to earlier today, they had him on a bullpen with Dr. Ritchie, and he was trying to help this young white girl who was going through some substance problems and so forth. And he wound up, speaking with her and telling her, well, if I'm getting the story correct me if I'm not. We'll let you go. I'm gonna let you stay the farm or whatever, and I've been through this kind of before, and I got burnt. So there has to be legal measures put in place so that I don't get burnt again. Okay, unfortunately, this is what happened when you try to help some people. So now this young man has been to court, and the judge, I'm assuming she's just an appellate judge, and she ruled against him on having these people evicted on his property. And so now it's been a year This man, and then not only did she do that, she also restrained him from being able to go to his own property. What does this sound like to you, y'all? It sounds like, number one, we know stealing with these people is not a new phenomenon. They stole the land from us hundreds of years ago. They stole this land from us. So this is not a new phenomenon, number one. That's what these people do. And see, it's the unfortunate thing is that when they see one bad apple amongst our people, right? They try to label us all the same. But how many times do we hear stuff like this in the media? We hear it all the time. But they'll get on the news and they'll try to label every indigenous, every hued person, every melanated person a bad apple. Or they'll group us all the same, in which we're not a monolith. In some ways we are, but in a lot of ways we're not a monolith. So you cannot group us all the same. We're not all the same. It's just like saying you go into the continent with many different languages and different tribes and different groups of people on the continent, trying to label the whole continent alike. You can't do that because the continent and our people, we are so diverse. So it'll be foolish for you to try to label us all the same. Not only are we so diverse in languages and cultures, but we're so diverse as to the creator, to the universe. And so you ask yourself sometimes, you say, when is this going to really stop? It's probably not going to. And so you'll hear me have a certain tone when I come on. You know, on other podcasts that I've done, you will hear me have a different tone sometimes when I'm talking about our people. And why is that? It's because I'm very compassionate about us really getting it and us reaching our higher self. So you might hear the tone change. And it doesn't mean that, yeah, I might be a little bit angry because we have been so marginalized. We have been so beat up by this society. We have been so subjugated. We have been so exploited. The list goes on and on and on. And when you see these people continue to rob, kill, and destroy, you say to yourself, what is really the solution? And so this is why I often say we have to raise our Kundalini. And when we were talking about that serpentine fire, how we have to come together spiritually, how we have to come together, we have to collectively bring our thought process from the ancestors, from the spiritual cosmos together so that we can harness this serpentine fire, as I said in the last podcast, so that we can burn up all the elements that are hindering the progress of the indigenous planetary people. We have to harness all that energy. See, because there is something, as you already know, there is something very profound that's happening in the cosmos. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that later in another podcast. But this is what we have to do. And I just want to read you what this guy said, because right now, as you probably know, some of you, probably a lot of you, that there's a GoFundMe campaign going on for this young man, for him to try to retrieve or to get his property back. You know, and this is also a lesson for us, for those of you who have farms, for those of you who have property like this. It is a lesson to tell you, do not deal with these people when it comes to leasing, when it comes to renting. Don't let them live on your property. If they come with money, just deny them, because they're not coming to rent. They're not coming to lease. They're coming to steal. So it would be best for you, when you see it coming, just say, no, thank you, thanks, but no thanks. Because this is a way in which people are seizing people's lands that don't belong to them. And as I said, this is not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for hundreds and even thousands of years. You have to say to yourself, you know, and there, as a matter of fact, as I speak right now, there are people on TikTok talking about this. There's this young lady talking about this. You cannot even help some people because they will steal what is yours when you're even trying to help them. Okay? So let this be, and let's help this young man. Let's help him. You can go to of course, GoFundMe, and you can donate. His name is Derek Williamson, and this fundraiser is being organized, obviously, for him to get his land and his farm back. It's a beautiful farm. When you go on to GoFundMe, you'll be able to see the land. It's beautiful, and when you think about this, he has a pool out there. He has animals, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And again, these demons are up to their tricks. They come not but for to rob, kill, and to destroy. And we can get into the antics about, the very few good people and all that, but we're not even going there. Okay, we're not going there. Because too often this kind of stuff happens. He says, hello everyone, my name is Derek Williamson, and I serve as the founder and CEO of both the Way Dynamic Animal Therapy Encounters Incorporated and Paramount Wildlife Incorporated. We have recently took our sorrows and injustices public because we need help. Excuse me. I tried to fight this last year quietly, but now I have no more recourses and financial support, so we are in dire need of help, as this past year of litigation and catastrophic ordeals has costed me everything. Hold 1 second. Let me get some light on this. Okay. It goes on to say, the Hardys are trying to illegally take my farm by brute force. I have been arrested, assaulted multiple times by both the Hardys and law enforcement, and I have been barred from my own home. Listen to this. He's barred from his own home. The worst part is my animals, who are like my family, have been quietly stolen, sold, and rehomed due to this injustice. Please help us. As you all may be aware, these legal battles, lawyer fees, animal costs, etc., aren't cheap, and we have no more donor support. I'm working 60 hours a week to try to stay afloat. Please help us fight. This was my dream, and the Hardys have turned my world into a nightmare. God bless, and on behalf of all my entire animal family, we are forever grateful. Now, he talked about this on the bullpen, and my understanding is, like I said, he tried to help this young lady out there who was going through some things with her family, and you, from what you heard me read, you see what the turnout is, okay? And so you can't help some people because this is what'll happen, okay? And so now his lawyers are working on this for him to, of course, retrieve his land back. Now, one of the things that is that sticks out in this whole case is that when he went to court, the judge that ruled on this, you know she's a racist. The judge that ruled on this, he has the deed, he has all the paperwork and so forth. She ruled against him, but the kicker is he took it to the another Supreme Court judge ruled on it in his favor. And the judge that initially refused to let him enter back his property and take his property back and evict these people out, she altogether paid no attention. It totally ignored the Supreme Court's ruling. And she's just an appellate. I mean, how could you do that? She altogether ignored the ruling of the Supreme Court judge. In other words, I don't care what they say. I'm not going to give you your property back because I'm going to let them steal it. That's basically what she's saying. I'm going to let them take it because that's what we do. We just take anything that belongs to y'all. And so again, y'all, this is not a new phenomenon. These people have been stealing since they hit the shores of Turtle Island and the continent. That's what they do. Unfortunately, that's what the majority of them, 99.9% of them do. They rob, they kill, and they destroy. And so here we are with this young man fighting for his life, and they're selling off his animals. That's the nerve. They're selling off something they didn't pay for. Something that's not theirs. But is that familiar to you? Selling off stuff that don't belong to you? Like they sold our people, and sold many other people. And sold lands and took lands and stole lands. You understand what I mean? And built properties on top of graveyards and people's blood crying from the ground. And they built on top of it, put bridges over it, put dams over it, and disregarded. There's no sacredness with these people when it comes to us. This is why we have to hold our ancestors sacred, and what we have as a culture, we have to hold what we have sacred. We have to get back to that. Any intellectual properties that we have to hold those intellectual properties as sacred and not let others come in and usurp them, and not allow others to come in and share. When we hold our things sacred, then we'll get respect. We just can't let people waltz in and usurp or appropriate cultural things that belong to us. We shouldn't do it. We just shouldn't do it. They have what belongs to them, whatever that is, and we have what belongs to us. And we should hold those things sacred. So I just wanted to come on real briefly and talk about this and say, go to this brother's page and go to GoFundMe and please donate. Okay? Because obviously I'm telling you to do it. And of course, I'm going to do it. But this is not a new phenomenon, and unfortunately, you just, wow. They can't be concerned with what repercussions are going to be, what the recompense is going to be. They can't be concerned with that because when it happens, it's over. It's it. It's it. You cannot live. See, you can't take back. You can't take back what you've done. You can't say, I'm sorry, and that's it. With the appropriation and the theft of thousands of years. And, you find some of these European countries now are starting to give some of the things back that have been stolen from the continent. And they want to make an apology, but you've done it and it's been done. And not only has it been done, but it's been done under catastrophic, brutality, where millions of people have lost their lives, where they've been maimed, where they've been, it's the tragedies are just, insurmountable. The tragedies are insurmountable when it talks about what has been done to indigenous people across the globe. And so, whether these people like it or not, they're going to have to pay. And this is one of the things they say, it's been said many times, that they fear retribution. How could you if you're still doing things? You don't have a soul. You don't have a soul. You're soulless. For the people who are doing these kind of things, you're soulless. You don't have a soul, but you will be reminded of what you've done. And not only will you be reminded, you will pay. You will pay. And unfortunately, that's how farming works. When you sow a seed, you get back a harvest. And so meanwhile, this young man is going through this, and prayerfully he's going to get justice. And the many millions of people will get justice when it's all said and done. And it's just an unfortunate space in time at this moment. But we'll see the outcome of this. So go to this young man's page and donate and support. And again, go to my page and give us a like and a share and subscribe as well. If you do that for us, we'll be so grateful. And again, we'll be coming back again later with a follow-up podcast. But I just wanted to get this out and make you aware of what's going on, which again, I'm sure a lot of you are. But yeah, go support. And we'll be seeing you guys later. So have a great afternoon, and we'll be talking with you later. Again, this is Seth Moore coming to you again here on Anchor by Spotify. You can also, at many other sites where we're hosted on, go and listen to us there. Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple Music, Buzzsprout, Podbean, and many, many more. So until we speak again later, stay high, and we'll be talking with you later. Stay up. All right. Take care. Bye.